Hey VHBC and friends, I'm coming to you from a familiar spot this evening. I hope you and your families are well. I'm here in part to remind you that it's midweek. In times like these, we can even forget the days. So you'll know, there are still 7 days a week. Today's Wednesday. Tonight, Gary will be checking in on a couple of our church members through Zoom. But before we get to him, let's take a minute and allow me to update you with our prayer list. Remember, you can find the prayer list online, vhbc.com. Stay connected. If you've misplaced the code, the password, just email us at the church and we'll resend that to you. We celebrate with the Scruggs family. Paul and Nancy celebrate the birth of their grandson, James Henderson Scoggins, the son of Chris and Catherine Scoggins. Many of you would remember their daughter Catherine, who grew up here at VHBC. We lift up those who are in the hospitals this week, Rosemary Banberg and Esther Evans. Let's keep them close to our thoughts and in our prayers. And we remember two of our families as they grieve the loss of loved ones. David Witt and family in the loss of David's aunt, Ann Bartlett, who passed away in Georgia. And of course, the Pittman family who lost Jerry this weekend. We'll all miss the presence of Jerry with us. And let's particularly be mindful of Chris and their extended family in the coming days. I offer these names as a prayer, and our prayer is also for the countless others who are unnamed and are on your hearts tonight. Let these words from Psalm 28 be our corporate prayer this evening. Blessed be the Lord, for he has heard the sound of our pleadings. The Lord is our strength and our shield. In him we trust. So we are helped and our hearts exalted. And with our songs we give thanks to him. The Lord is the strength of his people. He is the saving refuge of his anointed. O save your people and bless your heritage. Be their shepherd and carry them forever. Amen.
All right. My first story tonight is Julia Vines and her son Alan. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Welcome. Alan, how old are you now?
I'm 12.
What? Oh my goodness. But you used to not be 12, so you're growing up so fast. What does that put you, about 6th grade?
Yes, sir.
Youth group next year. Oh my goodness. Well, that's great. Well, how's homeschooling going?
It's interesting. It's something I wasn't quite ready for, but we're making the most of it, and I think the school systems have done a good job in preparing.
So you're doing classes online with teachers from schools?
Yes.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I asked how it was going, Alan looked over to the side just for a second. I didn't know quite like that, man. It's not as much fun as seeing your friends, obviously.
Right.
And Julia, how long have y'all been in the church with us?
I think 4 years.
That sounds about right. And
Yeah.
well, I want everybody to know about a sweet friendship that has happened with Julia and two of our older members, Bob and Ann Bush. And the Bushes are just such wonderful people. They've been here a long, long time, and they were so active when they first joined and were part of our tornado cleanup. And Bob was one of those guys that drove the golf cars, and just anything that needed to be done, he did it. And they are at Kirkwood by the river now, I think. And Bob struggles with dementia issues, and so he's had to go to the memory unit there. And Ann is over there in independent living. But my wife was just telling me yesterday about Julia having this friendship with them and how it came about, and that you write letters out there. And Ann has been thrilled to receive your letters, by the way, but she doesn't write as well as she used to. But what's the story? How did you get connected with this older couple in our church?
Well, it was probably close to the beginning of our membership. And one Sunday morning, Alan and I walked out of worship, and I saw Mr. Bush kind of standing around my car in the parking lot. We just kept walking, and the next thing I know, he's looking at me and just panicked on his face. And the golf cart he was driving that Sunday just got away from him, and it kind of ran into my back bumper. No big damage, but he was just so worried and so scared and sweet, and just wanted to make sure I knew he would do anything and everything possible to.
Oh. So you literally ran into each other.
We literally ran into each other.
Well, and that means you started kind of talking to each other when you saw each other at church.
Absolutely. On Wednesday nights, Sunday mornings, whenever we'd run into each other again, we would continue to keep up our friendship.
They are such dear people, and they have just been major league church workers through their whole lives, and just such sacrificial people. And they are in my wife's class, so she's been real close to them through the years. So, but you know, it's good to have friends of a different age group, isn't it?
Absolutely. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
You know, even through my childhood, I had older people that I was friends with in different places, and it meant a lot to me. And I have a couple of wonderful memories about the Bushes. One time, Vicki and I just said to them, we had never been to Northwest Alabama, and I wanted to go up to Muscle Shoals and see Fame Studios. But also, you know, I said, let's drive up there. So we drove up, spent a whole day in Tuscumbia. We went to Helen Keller's place, just all the things in Northwest Alabama I'd never seen, and just had a delightful time with them. And they really are wonderful people.
Absolutely.
But you guys are too, Julia. And what's this like for you right now? I mean, this thing we're all going through, what have you been thinking about as you move through this process?
Well, just recently with school, you know, getting acclimated to what that looks like for us every week. You know, Alan and I both talk about worship, watching you on Sundays. It's different, but I will say that I haven't felt lost from the church at all. I've almost felt maybe more in tune, I think, just because we're all so wanting to be together, and, you know, circumstances won't allow that right now. But I feel like we have such a loving and devoted church family that, you know, that feeling of not being acclimated together, it just doesn't happen.
Right. And I've thought often during this time, because we had strong relationships, they're able to endure through this. And it says that those things really matter, because when you can't get to each other, you have to depend on that, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, Alan, what's it been like for a 12-year-old going through I mean, this is a huge thing. You'll remember this your whole life.
That's right.
It's just been like all these people that I've heard on the news that dying. It's just been kind of like we're losing population in the world. Sad, kind of.
Yes, it is.
It's a lot for kids to understand. I mean, it's a lot for adults to understand the magnitude of the situation. You know, I don't personally know anyone that has the virus, but, you know, sometimes the news is just, it's a little daunting to watch every day. And you know, with him hearing some things that go on, I want him to know, but it's just hard to get your mind wrapped around it all. And where from here? And, you know, as a parent, that's a hard question to answer.
Well, I think, yeah, and that's a good point, Alan. I think it is a big thing. And, you know, when I was, I guess, coming along, there was a lot of strife in the United States then. The racial division was going on, and the Vietnam War. 50-some thousand young men were killed in that war, and the nation was just divided over it. And it seemed like a terrible time that we would never get through, but we did. And one of the things I think we have to tell our children is we've been through these terrible things before, and we get through them. They're not easy, but also I think you can't just sit and think about it all the time. You have to do some other things and go on with life, because you know, we're going to do the best we can, and that's important. That's a real good point. Well, Alan, somebody's got to take over this world when this gets done. So we need you young people to do well, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, we're proud of you and proud of your mom, your wonderful members, and it's just been such a delight to visit with you today. Thank you for giving me some of your time.
Thank you, and it's good to see you.
You too. We'll do it again sometime.
Okay, take care.
All right, bye now.
Bye.
Lynne and Milton Fullman. And you notice that I'm standing at Lake Louise, Canada, because it's so beautiful there, and I decided I wanted to get away from the United States at this moment just for a little while until I could get my bearings. But actually, that's just a picture I put behind me. So anyway, and Milton and Lynne have been in our church for quite a while, and they have had a remarkable spiritual journey. I've asked them to do this today because I don't know that the whole church has ever heard this story. And so can you just to sort of begin with, tell me about yourselves, kind of the elevator speech about your careers and who you are and all that kind of thing.
Milton is from Birmingham. I'm from Chattanooga, and we met our freshman year at Sanford and dated 2.5 years. And in May this month will be 50 years being married.
Oh, congratulations. What are you doing for the big day?
I think we'll probably have a Stouffer's dinner or something. I don't know.
I think we're going to stay in.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, so Lynne, in your career, you've been a writer.
Yes, I've worked as a freelance writer. I did it 40 years. I always worked from home. I've written 6 books. I've written for multiple newspapers, magazines, blogs over the years.
Where would people around here mostly know you from? The newspaper or Over the Mountain Journal, or where have you published?
None of those are current, but yes, many years with the Birmingham News as a freelancer. Over the Mountain Journal, Birmingham Parent. I did a blog at one point on Birmingham.
You did a restaurant thing too for a while.
The food detective, and then I did just a chat with chefs in the Birmingham area.
Food detective sounds like a great job to me.
It was. You had to taste food. I mean, what can I say?
Now, Milton, you worked at U.S. Steel, I believe, did you not?
Yes, I did. I worked out there 30 years, 3 months, and 12 days.
Now, and you have a very typical story up to a certain point, but then went through a very remarkable experience sometime back, and it changed your lives. And so can you summarize that for our folks to understand?
Yes. The difficult part is doing it briefly. Milton was, we thought, healthy, perfect, wonderful, riding jet skis until he wasn't. And January 2015, he just dropped with a massive heart attack. And doctors said he wouldn't live 3 days at the most. But he proved them wrong. So he eventually, at UAB, had a mechanical circulatory device implanted in his heart, which keeps him alive now. Wow. So that was implanted in February of 2015. He's been in the hospital 22 times since then with complications from it. But at this point, he has been out 11 months almost, which is unbelievable because the longest stretch we'd had was 3 months over those 4.5.
Yeah, I was thinking it's been a while, and that's exciting.
It's beyond exciting.
And I was around for some of that and remember all that you went through, and it was really, really an amazing story because really and truly, we just didn't know whether he'd even come out of that surgery when it happened. So God was really good.
Oh, our daughters still talk about you being there for us and just.
Oh, well, that was but I'm just amazed that UAB does what they do. And it's just, we're so fortunate to have that in this city because it does things that we never could have done years ago. And so we're glad Milton's here, but that changed your way of life. Is that right?
Absolutely. We said we're the only people who've been in training for what's going on now because one of the criterias for his having this device implanted, which has external pieces that are connected to him permanently. It's sewn into his heart, but it comes out of him. He can never be left alone without someone trained, such as myself, to react if there's a problem. And praise God, there never has been, but you go by the rules. So I don't leave him alone. So for 5 years. So that's a lot of togetherness. So that's been life-changing. And also because UAB is among a handful of medical centers who implant these, he could not get care at just an average hospital.
Right.
I mean, they wouldn't know what to do. So we have to stay close.
Yeah, and you had one event that sort of happened off somewhere, didn't you? Down in the beach area or something.
Yeah, I don't want to elongate all that, but yeah, see, we were at the beach and he had a problem, and we called the UAB doctors and they directed us where to go. And, you know, we went in the ER and there was a cardiologist there who met us, and he was in his 50s, according to him. And he said, man, I've heard of these. I've never seen one. Do you mind if I bring some people? And I look, and there's like a stream of people outside his
Oh,
ER.
my goodness.
Waiting to come in because he has a hum. He doesn't have a heartbeat like normal people.
Right.
So nurses were just lined up and, you know, bringing their stethoscopes, and it did not bring any comfort to us at all.
Yeah. Hey, hold this and come look at that. Well, the thing I know about Milton, and if you don't know him, you need to know that he's got a wild sense of humor, and that remained intact all the way through that thing. In fact, I wouldn't say the nurses wanted him to come back, but they seemed to always look forward to him being around when he was on the unit.
He has their pictures of screensaver on his phone. He's quite silly.
Well,
they love him.
They love him, and they did a lot for him too. So I know you feel that way. So Milton, from the internal experience of that, what was all this like for you? Because you're this active guy that does anything he wants to, and suddenly here's a change.
It gave me my health back. I know that. The other day I sent a picture. Well, I was up in a tree with a chainsaw cutting it down, and Lynne took a picture and sent it to my cardiologist, and I thought they were going to faint. You know, they've never had one of these pumps get up in a tree and use a chainsaw. So I'm back to normal, just normal living, except that I get to be with my wife every day.
Every day. Every day. You know, the worst thing that should happen to a wife is to have to go grocery shopping with her husband.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't thought about that.
Men don't get it. You know, he'll say, where's your list? You have 4 things. We got 4. Let's go. You know, women will understand. That's just the beginning, you know. So he's finally learned a little bit. But he's kind of like a child, too. Then he'll kind of disappear and like, I don't know if I should look for him.
So that's why Vicky will decline me politely from going
Absolutely.
further. Oh, okay.
Men should not be allowed in grocery stores, just period.
Our hair cutting salons,
Yeah.
either one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. So Milton, what did you find yourself moving through from surgery as you adjusted to all that? What was that like?
Well, it was like the doctor told me when I was in the room. They come in and bombard you with all this information. There is no way anyone can comprehend. We're going to sew a machine in your chest and it's going to run your heart for the rest of your life. So he told me one day, if I could get up out of that bed and walk out of that room, I would not need this. And I could not do it. I tried, and I could not walk out of the room. I was on a downhill slide. And with help from the church, from you and my family, we got it fixed. And I just got my 5-year pen the other day. It's been running in there for 5 years.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And I know it's not easy. There's lots of ups and downs with this, and all those hospitalizations for little things that come along. Half the time they don't know what it is before they let you go, and you just move on. But there is, in terms of where you have experienced God in this together and individually, what can you say to folks about this? Because you've moved to being a very life is very defined for you now.
We used to travel so much, and he did photos and I would do the writing. So he was president of Society of American Travel Writers. So we were always on the go, and no such thing anymore. I mean, a lot of people say you can travel, but we're just scared to. I mean, if you you could promise me there'd be no complication, it would be absolutely fine. But that's if he got through security at an airport. But we're just older and scared and want to stay where there's excellent help and they recognize him and know what to do for him as best they can. So, and I think a lot of this he missed because he was literally on drugs and sedated and, I still tell him things and he said, I don't remember that, And so I think he missed a lot of the heartache that our daughters and I, went through. And, we still talk about it. And, we all say we're not the same people anymore. But we just finally got to where we said just one day at a time, sometimes 1 minute at a time. Because there was so much uncertainty in the beginning that they did not think he would live. And then they didn't know what his body could tolerate that they could do for him. They had to do many, many tests to screen him to see if he was even eligible to have this implanted. And there were just, they'd schedule tests and then delay the test just for their reasons. But to us, it was, heart-wrenching. The big surgery put off by 24 hours because of, good reasons they had. But, it just tore with our emotions. So, we all enjoy eating, but we would go days and not eat. Our daughter Cameron had little Altoids, and she'd say, "Do you want lunch?" We're like, "Not passing today." So, I think, I don't even know if he knew at the time how really sick he was. Did you know?
No, I did not know. And once UAB implanted this thing in my chest that hums, we went to the beach one time. I had some trouble down there. And they flew me, UAB sent a plane down there and picked me up, brought me right back.
30 minutes.
So it's 35 minutes from the beach at Destin to the UAB.
But you don't, when you have that happen, you just don't want to be away from the people that know what to do and who give you comfort. They know him, they know his story. And, there are people that get out and ride horses and motorbikes and travel everywhere, but they're braver than we are. Because it's not something to be taken lightly by any means. And they say all the time, they often say, y'all are doing well because you go by the rules and medicines and stuff.
So you don't want to get up in a tree with a chainsaw and things like that.
All everything,
Well, you can. Hey, you guys are remarkable, and I thought of this verse just as you were talking. It just sort of popped into my mind from Philippians, where Paul said, "I've learned in any and every circumstance to be content," and that is not natural to the human animal. We don't like being content. We're sort of restless, but this has been something where you've had to find new things to content yourself with.
They told us at the time when we were saying, is this going to last and what are we facing? And they said, well, it will be a new normal. And I have to say, it's not a term that I embraced particularly. And that's what people now are saying about the virus situation. It's a new normal. And we've been living with our own new normal, which has really clipped our wings in many ways. But we're just grateful for every day. He laughs at me every morning. I pull the curtains back. I can't carry a tune in a bucket. And I go, this is the day the Lord has made. And we really believe that, and it is. And every day is a gift. And if we didn't know it then, we would know it now. And speaking of verses, there's one verse that I just embrace in the hospital. I keep it on my mirror in the bathroom. And it's Psalm 138:3. In the day when I cried out, you answered me and made me bold with strength in my soul. And that has just helped me so many times. And it's true, you cry out, he's there. And he just offers a peace that you truly can't explain, but it's truly there. And we felt people's prayers and support and the church staff support. And I think I tell people who get this device, we often talk to people, new patients, and I say, comprehending that life, comprehending the virus life, you can't take it all in. It's like when you have a baby. If somebody told you everything down the road, it would be overwhelming. Just take it a day at a time. That's all you can do.
And that's where we're going to be for a while. And, it's okay. There's a lot. I have seen a lot more nature lately than I normally do because I'm not in the car all the time. But I think, there's God has given us enough. And we learn to enjoy that. You guys are a great inspiration, and I want to thank you for a little of your time. And I'm excited for the church to hear this story and know about the two of you. And I love you both.
Yeah, we love y'all too. Y'all have meant the world to us, and the church has. I mean, as a church family, it's just unbelievable how they continue to embrace us and support us. And prayers just, there's just no doubt that prayers and God's strength, God's peace is everywhere if you just reach for it. But don't take it to the grocery store.
Okay. Well, I'll just stay where I am. Well, come on up to Canada sometime, and we'll enjoy Lake Louise together. I'll tell you what, I'll get a baseball park next time, Milton.
Yeah, he's missing his
There you
sport.
go.
He's missing his sports for sure. So he would like that.
Oh, me too, man. This is baseball season. This is killing me right now, but we'll all get through it. And we still have so much that we still love and treasure right there by us. So thank you guys for being here today.
Our privilege.
Great to see your faces, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye now.